Hello, everybody. Welcome back to All Work and No Play Makes My Cock a Boy's Toy. Um, Hello, everybody. Welcome back to All Work and No Play Makes My Cock a Boy's Toy. Welcome. We are reading a special story today on creepypasta.com. It got an 8.5 out of 10 from 3.6 thousand votes. Yeah, it's up there with like freaking Ickbar Bigglestein and Bedtime, so you know it's gonna be a really good story. And I've read both of those stories. They're superb. They're great. However, this one is a special kind of great. You know what I mean? A special ed kind of great. um, this is Jeff the Killer versus Slenderman. Yes, I finally found it. The dark, wet alley was slightly illuminated by Sarah's cell phone light as she shined it every few seconds to see where she was headed. Her eyes scanned the darkness and she shook crazily. 8.5 out of 10. What had happened to her last night was a mystery. She thought back to the bar. She had just came in with some friends. Just a fun night out. Bravo. This story. Oh, God. Oh, it's gonna be shit. It's gonna be shit. um, Nothing could have happened, or so she thought. Now she was trembling, walking from building to building at 3 in the morning. Again, she thought back, but everything was a blur. Blue blur, like Sonic! No. She passed an old ratty motel and a pub. Ratty motel. I think I know where this is going. Um, Sarah made her way to the outskirts of her neighborhood, around a heavily wooded area. She clenching her eyes shut tight for moments at a time. She was huddled into her coat for warmth as the cold rain covered her for what seemed like an eternity. Just as her eyelids took cover of her eyes, something shined out of the corner of her vision. She instantaneously flashed her eyes open once again, and her pupils became wide. She looked around. Nothing stood out in the blackness and rain. She spun around and continued her way back, hoping she would make it home. As she studied her surroundings, she remembered a shortcut that she took as a kid when playing hide and seek with her childhood playmates. It involved climbing through the woods. The cold woman hesitated, but came to the decision that anything that would get her to the warm home quicker is the better way. I paused with came because, you know, come. Oh god, I'm tired. I'm I'm just trying to make myself laugh, but it's not working. Sarah headed towards the forest. As she made her way in, the first tree she laid eyes on has been marked. What was unmarked on the tree mystified her. What looked like a circle with an X inside. She knew nothing of its origin or meaning. Have you been living under a rock? Do you know what the Slender Man is? So she just assumed this was some kind of gang symbol or something of that sort. Marking her way into the forest, she recalled the fun times she had as a kid. She thought to herself out loud, I miss those times, back when the world wasn't a bat. Her voice trailed off. Sarah heard the loud crack of a tree branch off in the distance behind her. Terrified, she began running through the woods, and she soon became lost. If I heard a branch cracking behind me, it would probably be a deer or something, like or like some sort of animal. Like, you never assume, oh, someone's following me. Oh, God, I gotta run. You know what I mean? Uh, she continued on anyway, hoping for a way out. Her lack of caution quickly resulted in her leg being caught on a near-lying root, and she fell to the ground. Attempting to get up caused her even more pain. She had twisted her ankle. Oh no, not Sarah. She's my favorite weeaboo. Somebody please! ... Help me! She called out. The crunching of leaves became present again. She attempted to stand up and run once again, but her injury kept her in one place. She clenched her eyes shut out of fear, and as she opened them again, a tall, white man dressed in a suit stood before her. She had become visually impaired by the sight of this man. Oh my god. Oh no! It's it's Doug Jones, and he's in a suit, and oh god, She began screaming in terror, but was soon silenced by the slender, pale man that stood before her in the dark. Ha 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 ha! That's so clever. That's so clever. Yeah. 4 o'clock. What once was a young boy now was a cold-blooded psychopath. Jeff the Killer. Jeff the Killer had just finished what he called his daily rounds, the slaughtering of innocent people. This was almost all that flooded Jeff's mind. Oh, I thought he was thinking about Scarlett Johansson all the time. Teenagers, right? He dragged his feet up the wet cement as he entered what he called his home for years. Oh, surprisingly, he didn't get stuck there. And, yeah. I can imagine Jeff amputating his own legs with the knife like in Saw. But it's much shittier. So he amputates both his feet, and now he has no purpose. Jeff stepped foot into a world of tragic memories, clutching 2 whiskey bottles in hand. Oh no. Oh, he's under 21 and he's drinking. Whoa, this is so freaking scary. Oh, I saw Us today, actually. It's much better than this shit. Great movie. It's awesome. Jeff had become a drunken killing machine. His brain was filled with the scent of murder. I'm surprised, since this is on a serious creepypasta site, I'm surprised that it wasn't edited by any admins, and I'm glad it wasn't, because this is worth it, man. One thought did cross his psychotic mind, had been there since day one. As the rain hit the weary house, Jeff began to recall the night in which he slaughtered his entire family. Why is it that in Jeff the Killer stories, like spin-offs like Jane the Killer, Jeff vs. Lorraine, Jeff vs. Slenderman, Jeff vs. freaking Jason Voorhees, Jeff vs. Chris Pratt, I'm gonna write that next. Why is it that he's always so sad that his family died? I don't get it. It's always like, oh no, my family died because of me. I killed every single one of them in cold blood with no remorse. But now, like 8 years later, when I'm drinking beer, getting my feet stuck in cement, I'm crying because I regret killing my little Asian brother. As Lorraine hit the weary house, Jeff began to recall the night in which he slaughtered his entire family. He chuckled at that thought. If it wasn't for his insanity, he may have thought about regret, remorse for taking the lives of the people he once loved. But that wasn't possible at this point. Jeff was out for one thing and one thing only: death. Oh man, he's so edgy, he wants to kill himself. That wasn't a pun, but I did that thing anyway. 5:06 in the morning. It's it's as in like 5 o'clock, but it's written as 5:06 in the morning. So it's 5:06. He took another swig at his alcohol. What in the fuck am I sitting here for? 2 periods. Jeff buzzed. Jeff the Bee. A B movie. Starring Jeff the Killer. Buzz, 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 buzz. Freaking... Was Nicolas Cage in that movie? I forgot. I feel like he was. That would make it 10 times better than it already is. And speaking of bees... Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, especially with Nick Cage and bees and... Oh, no, not the bees! Not the bees! Okay. As he got up to make his way into the night, he swerved a bit. And it took another chug at his whiskey. The alcohol hit his warm, bloody lips, and he felt an odd sensation, a sudden urge that had hit him. It's his alcoholism. He stood in the room, gazing out at the forest beyond the house. Jeff checked his pockets. Cigarettes, a lighter, and, of course, his knife. Oh man, he's so edgy, he smokes. It's not like people do that because they're addicted, but it's because they think it's edgy and cool. Like Jeff the Killer, because he's so edgy and cool. Jesus Christ, I hate this story so bad. I hate this story. It's freaking horrible. Jeff knew that something wasn't right. The feeling he got was a mix of the urge to kill again, and something... Never mind. And something far different than what he had ever felt before. Love! No, I'm just kidding. He never felt love. He's probably a goddamn Terminator for all I care. He stormed out of his home into the cold, no space, wet night. I actually wonder if the person who wrote this was as drunk as Jeff was when writing this story, because it's a shit fest. Jeff was now in a dark street, his only light source being a lamp illuminating the road. Illumination. The Illuminati. The rain still pouring hit Jeff's back. He started to move in the direction of the forest. He struggled a bit. His alcohol consumption of that night had been extremely high. My blood pressure is so high, man. It's like I'm gonna die at any moment. The funny thing is, in real life, there's people paranoid, like, oh, I'm gonna die in any moment. There could be a meteor striking the earth in any moment. Oh, no. I'm kidding, I didn't die. The killer approached the desolate forest. Before he entered, he took a quick glare to his left. Jeff was not far from a cemetery. He trembled towards it. Bruh. I'm just gonna say that. Bruh. A thought blew into his mind, almost like the wind on a breezy afternoon. The last piece of his family was only feet away, and it beckoned him. What did he walk towards that made him think about his family? Screw it. This story's bullshit. He moved his feet away from the forest. I knew it. He amputated his feet and he threw them slowly. He moved his feet away from the forest towards the graveyard. Slowly, Jeff walked, yet he tripped a few times, spanning the short distance. It's just like how you tripped and fell onto your keyboard and you published this thing. He approached a grave. Jeff grazed it with a rotten odor of death. His jacket had been covered in the blood and remains of his victims. That's unhygienic. Am I right? Yeah? That isn't my type of style when it comes to clothing. Jeff simply gazed at the cold slab of granite. He stood and stared. Jeff's insides began to feel uneasy, and his throat became dry. That's the same feeling I have when I'm reading this, except I'm not uneasy because of Jeff the Killer. I'm uneasy that this thing would be longer than I hope it would be, and also my throat's really dry and I don't have any water bottles. So, yeah, I'm pissed off. The same feeling from just minutes before. Jeff stumbled back to the forest while trembling towards the woodland. His eyes wandered to a tree a few feet farther out than the others. While he looked like a small grayish what looked like a small grayish piece of paper could be seen hanging by a nail. No period, capital, his eyes blurry. He was unable to read it. He took no attempt either. That's you trying to proofread this story. You put no attempt in, and you just like, screw it, press enter. Published on the internet now. It's a freaking 8.5 out of 10. Good God. And crept into the darkness slowly, almost as if he recognized this place, as if it were his true home. This writing is freaking killing me, man. Squeezing his 2 whiskey bottles, he studied the forest in a drunken haze. Jeff admired the darkness. It reminded him of a black hallway. Bruh. I'm speechless. One where the murderer could easily slash the necks of his victims without being seen. As he continued walking, Jeff became, in a way, infatuated. The empty blackness swirled around him, muttering to himself in unrecognizable gibberish. That's what you're writing. That wasn't funny. He continued to drop. Something felt a bit odd. The crunching of leaves seemed too loud to account for only one person. Jeff felt as if something was lurking behind his line of sight. "Who's there?" Jeff growled. An abundance of noise could be heard, but nothing out of the ordinary. The chirps of crickets grew louder as Jeff studied his surroundings. "Come on, chicken. I don't really like games. I'm not hide and seek at all." As Jeff announced this, Jesus Christ, this dialogue. As Jeff announced this, a quick rustling from a nearby bush could be heard. He slashed at it before the sound could come to a silence of its own. Jeff then saw what was hidden out of sight the entire time. It was Thanos. No. "Damn rats! You're just some good-for-nothing pests!" Jeff proclaimed as a rodent scurried from the leaves. After he had seen what hid in the bush, he continued his midnight stroll. That sounds so intimidating, scary. The rain crashing against his back came to a slow stop. His vision was becoming very blurry, and a loud noise was growing within his head. What could be heard was just a figment on Jeff's insane imagination. She was hearing voices on her head, for the woods were completely silent. He tampered around, dragging his feet and cursing at the almost unbearable noise. Nothing like it had pierced his ears with such discontent before. The noise that drowned Jeff slowly became absent. From the pain, Jeff fell to a tree. Both bottles that were once clenched into his hands fell toward the ground. One crashed against the bark and shattered everywhere. The crack of glass had viciously dragged Jeff back into consciousness. Yeah, because that's how being drunk works. It totally, you snap back to reality. Whoop, there goes gravity. As his eyes readjusted to the darkness once more, the blurriness was magnified as Jeff saw a white oval-like object hovering over him. His eyes quickly focused from shock, but what had been in front of him a few seconds ago was nowhere to be found. "What in the fuck was that?" Jeff chuckled at his own remark. Was his mind playing his tricks on him? No, he's just trying to be witty, and he laughed at his own joke. "Now I know that ain't no damn rats." Funny! He hastily came to the conclusion that something had been lurking in the darkness, following him from a distance.
That's it. I'm done playing games. Where the fuck are you, you bastard?
Jeff screamed to the top of his lungs in hope of some kind of response. He was answered abruptly. As he started to walk again, he felt the slightest tingle on his neck.
That's not the damn air, fucker. Get the hell out of the bushes before I decide to fuck you up.
Jeff... This dialogue is so bad. Jeff sounds like a stereotypical black guy. Jeff felt wild at this point. Nothing about this place was right, but he was enjoying every minute of it. Swiftly, he pulled his shining blade from his coat pocket and began slashing at trees in the darkness.
Come out, bitch, he cried out. No hiding now. I'll cut every last chip of bark to slit your throat.
Oh, he's so scary. Jeff the Killer works for a tree company now. Jeff pointed his knife towards a tall thin tree, but God damn it, hold on, there it is. I accidentally clicked on something protruding from the left of his vision and stabbed. He was astonished to see that on direct contact, the tree, or what he thought was a tree, faded away in the darkness in a matter of milliseconds. Not knowing what to do, he glanced quickly towards his right. You know, Jeff, you should have aimed for the head. And stabbed at the Black Knight. He peered out into the wood, as in Elijah Wood, and saw not what he had expected. What stood before that psychotic boy was an extremely tall, thin man dressed in a clean black suit. This was all that Jeff could make out at the time. The rain caused Jeff's sight to become immensely distorted. Oh, I knew he was going blind. I'm freaking sick and tired of talking. I'm gonna... Thanos voice generator. Okay. Where... I can't... Alright, I'm gonna try to do a Thanos voice from my computer.
Fun isn't something one considers when balancing the universe, but this does put a smile on my face. Jeff's eyes had cleared again, and he quickly began to observe the man. He was emaciated, his face pale, almost pure white in color. As Jeff studied the face, he soon came to notice the lack of facial features on this man. This thing-ass face was completely empty. No eyes, nose, or mouth. Just a white, blank head. This made Jeff feel a bit uneasy, and he soon broke out into a laugh. Although astounded, Jeff soon addressed the figure before him. So you were the bastard chasing me through the woods, huh? Jeff stared at the blankness once more.
You know, I don't know what the fuck you are, but you kinda remind me of myself.
Quotation mark, space, quotation mark.
You've got a nice white face, but all you're missing is a smile.
Fuck off. Jeff began laughing uncontrollably at his own notion, yet he was stopped. Jeff's ears were assaulted by static and he fell to the ground. He was shrouded in complete darkness as he clenched his ears for mercy. The figure Jeff earlier questioned was now causing Jeff extreme pain, while the place where his eyes should have been staring directly into Jeff's. At this point, Jeff snapped. He broke free of the pain. How? Drew his knife once more, and began slashing. Each one of his moves were futile, as the man moved around in no time at all, almost as if he was teleporting from place to place to avoid attacks. The tall man began to fight back. Jeff had not just now begun to notice the tendrils hanging from the back of his attacker. They grabbed at Jeff, and his response was to swing his knife at each of them that came near him. Jeff managed to slice what seemed to be an arm. Almost in an instant, the limb grew back into place.
What had just happened astonished Jeff. Slenderman had the reality stone. He felt almost as if the man was a tall tree, and his tendrils simply branches. Jeff fled from the forest, knowing that there was no way to be able to fight whatever his adversary truly was in what seemed to be his home territory. Jeff rushed from his attacker and found himself at the same place where he had entered. To the right of him lies the cemetery, open space. As he ran past the trees, he noticed one that lay away from the others, the same tree from before. He ran at it out of instinct, and read the note he had seen from a distance before. Do not enter these woods at night. A tall man has been spotted in the area recently. Some call him the Slender Man. Beware and enter at your own risk. Whatever the being that had stalked him in the woods before was referred to as Slender Man. The name fit perfect with the description of the tall white figure. Jeff hurried towards the graveyard where he waited for his foe, wielding his sharp, bloody knife. Knife. Jeff's wish has been granted. As the Slender Man approached from the woods, it seemed as if it was hesitant to leave its home court. Despite its hesitance, it left the area anyway and quickly rushed towards Jeff. The psychopath's instinct started to come back, and he jumped towards the tall man. Jeff was quickly grabbed by his enemy and thrown against a nearby tree. Jeff proceeded to swing again at the tendrils that had grabbed him. He was able to slash at one of Slenderman's main arms. Blood oozed from the deep cut. The white figure showed no emotion and began snatching at Jeff once again. This grammar is freaking atrocious. As he continued to smash Jeff against trees and slabs of rock, Jeff's knife slipped from his grip and fell to the ground with Jeff colliding with the ground. Jeff's knife slid into his own stomach in a matter of seconds. Blood poured from his wound, and soon the ground was covered in a red liquid. He stood up with a jolt. Alright, dialogue.
Is that the best you got, Slendy?
Quotation mark, space quotation mark.
I've taken worse beatings from me father's belt than you are weak twig arms.
It's never established that Jeff was beaten by his father. And the dialogue is atrocious. The Slender Man remained silent, but continued fighting. The man reached for a piece of granite from a tombstone, but before he could take hold of it, Jeff jerked the knife from his gut and flinged it directly at Slender Man. Jeff's accuracy was precise, and it sliced off one of the man's limbs. Slender Man's left arm was completely gone, and it fell to the ground with a thud. Alright, is this a knife? Or is it the freaking Excalibur? Because I'm pretty sure Jeff's knife couldn't chop through a man's limb with a single throw. If anything, it would just stick in there. It was quickly met by thick blood that barraged from his shoulder. It was completely drenched in blood. Slender Man briskly disappeared into the darkness. Briskly, wow. It's like he's having a nice day and stuff. The illumination of the Illuminati behind Jeff. In his right hand, he held a broken piece of granite that he proceeded to slam in the side of Jeff's head. Jeff fell to the ground once again, almost knocked unconscious. Blah 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 blah. Jeff was thrown against the grave. The stone exploded on impact with Jeff because it was one of Snake's grenades. Standing up once again, Jeff's eyes focused on the name on the grave. As his eyes crossed the name on the granite, his black eyes widened. It's his eyelids that are black, not his eyes, you retard. The words written across the gray slab were recognized by Jeff in an instant. It read out his brother's name. Lil! Alright, this isn't canon with homicidal Lil. Yay. Something was coursing through Jeff. Rage filled him within an instant as he lashed out at Slendy with extreme speeds. It didn't actually say Slenderman there, or Slendy there, it just said Slenderman. Jeff's knife was slashing through his suit, as well as his pale skin. Slenderman began teleporting towards the forest.
Come on, bitch! I'm not finished with you yet.
Jeff hollered.
I want to help you get to sleep, Randy. You look awfully tired.
What the hell? How drunk is this guy? Whatever was flowing through Jeff caused his insanity to go into an overdrive state. This isn't frickin' anime. There's no overdrive when it comes to insanity. You're just insane. That is retarded. Yeah. It's just... oh god. He had become delusional. Yep, damn right he's been delusional. He's been delusional for freaking years. He ran at Slenderman and back into the forest. He rushed through the woods, not observing the environment whatsoever. Jeff was deep in the forest, still pursuing the man, blah 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 blah. Jeff tripped on a branch as he crashed to the ground. Shards of glass pierced him, and the contents of his pockets were thrown out. His items scattered the ground, like in Minecraft when you die. As Jeff looked up with his mangled, bloody face, the scent of alcohol grazed him. Jeff knew that he had been here before. He had fallen on this tree and dropped the bottle. Jeff desperately searched the ground for the knife. He got hold of something warm, which he hoped would be his blade. Jeff then grabbed his litter. L-I-T-E-R. Is that how you spell lighter? Let me see. Lighter. No, it's liter. Oh. Oh, jeez. Jeff then grabbed his leader. He quickly scrapped at it. It isn't scraped, it's scrapped, hoping that the small flames would provide a source of light. His bloody hands covered the plastic in the red liquid. After many desperate attempts, a small orange flame was produced. Jeff threw the leader out in front of him as he attempted to find his knife that lay close to him. Before he could make another movement, Slenderman appeared before him. The smooth white face that he had seen before was now covered in slashes and dark blood. Even though he looked hurt, Slendy remained strong. Jeff's grip on the leader became loose. His blood has caused the friction between it and his blah blah blah. A small blaze dropped towards the ground. Intense flames scorched as the leader hit the ground. Both adversaries fled away from the flame. Before either of them could put distance between themselves and the flame, it was ignited by the alcohol that slowed the ground. Cause that's how freaking physics works. Why is it in Jeff the Killer stories these authors don't know how fire works? Are you the same person? Are you the freaking same person? Did you pay attention in science class? Alcohol burns up. It doesn't burn. If you ignite alcohol in a wet forest, the entire forest is not gonna burn up. You think that's what happens? Yeah. In a matter of seconds, the forest was burning up from the ground. You fucking retard. Are you that stupid? Jeff looked for safety, yet none could be found in the flames. Slendy thought nothing of this and continued to swing at Jeff. Jeff fought back, blah blah blah. The tall monster grabbed at Jeff. Jeff grabbed his knife and jumped. To no avail, Jeff was pulled by Slenderman and now stuck in his grip. Slenderman blah 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 blah. Jeff bit at him and a loud crack of bone could be heard. Yes, because Jeff can bite through bone now. Is he a freaking T-Rex? He can't break through bone. That's probably because of his mouth. His mouth is a design trait of his character. Just because he slashed his mouth open doesn't mean that he can bite like the freaking Titan from Attack on Titan. He can't do that. It'll make his bite even worse, actually. This is retarded. The pain surged through Slendy. Out of shock, he threw Jeff against a large tree. As Jeff flew towards the tree, a sharp pain hit Jeff straight in the back. It continued until he saw a large branch sliding through his torso, and he hit the base of the tree. Jeff had been viciously impaled by a long tree branch. Yay! He's dead! Finally! Blood gushed from his mouth and open wounds as he screamed out in pain. Arrgh! Slendy then fled. He warped to an area of safety where the forest had not been burned as of yet. He watched Jeff as he attempted to escape. At this point, the Slendy knew that escape was impossible. The white monster could hear Jeff screaming even from a large distance away. He continued to warp away from his territory and left Jeff to burn in the flames. Blah, blah, blah. Fire engulfed Jeff. Blah, blah. He became wrapped up into the flames. There was no hope for Jeff. He had lost his mind long ago, yet this was something different. He had reached his limit, and his state of mind burned just as the forest did. That sentence is fairly written. Fairly. I'm not saying it's well written, but it is well written for a story like this. A young girl named by the name of Sarah Burgess has been reported missing. She was last seen at Drop-In Bar and Grill around 9 o'clock p.m. They got it right this time, about the time. If you have any idea on the whereabouts of Sarah Burgess, please call the station at 404-835-HELP. I don't know if this is a real number, but please don't call it. It's probably just fake. In other news, a major forest fire had broken, blah, blah, blah. Well, yes, we know. Investigators are studying the remnants of the forest. The fire had been extinguished. This will hurt much of the animal life found in the once heavily wooded forest. We'll bring more on this story as it comes. A freaking entire forest burned down because of one freaking bottle of alcohol hitting the ground and being set up on fire by a leader. This is freaking horrible. I just scrolled down. We're almost done. Thank Christ. Mark turned off the television and slumped into his couch cushion.
Hey, honey, you want to go take a look at the forest? Well, what's left of it?
That what's has no apostrophe in it.
They've put out the fire that burned the damn thing to the ground. There's also a girl missing. Maybe we'll see her while we're out there.
This guy. Oh, Jesus. This guy probably got punched a lot in his teen years.
Can we do it some other time? I'm kind of busy right now, Mark. And if the police can't find that girl, there's no way in hell we can.
Julia protested. Mark argued.
Come on, it won't hurt nothing. It won't be more than a 5-minute walk. Alright, I guess, but 5 minutes only.
The man put on his shoes and left the house with his wife. As they strolled towards the burnout forest, they could see something moving in the opposite direction. It looked somewhat human. As they moved closer towards it, they noticed what looked like severe burns to its face. Fuck off. The creature's eyelids were completely gone, and it carried an unnatural smile spread across his face. God damn it, he's alive. Freaking. Just no. God. It was completely white with hints of gray. With hints of gray where it looked like he had been burned. Long black hair was singed. They came closer towards it, and Mark shouted,
Hey, buddy, do you need some help?
Mark bellowed.
You already established that he shouted.
Mike, stop! We don't even know who he is. He could be a fucking killer for all we know.
Julia whispered, frightened. Best line in the story. The man moved swiftly towards the couple. As he approached them, he drew a thick blade covered in red liquid.
I don't, but I can tell you need some help to sleep.
Jeff then slashed the knife across the man's neck and he fell to the ground. His wife began to scream loudly. Ah! She was unable to continue as she was next. She was stabbed directly in the heart with the knife.
You don't need to worry about me. Just go to Kip.
It says on the bottom, credit to Dylan R. Custom Creepypasta. Alright, Dylan, I'm assuming you're the author. And if you're not, please forgive me for saying this. But you're a fucking retard. I'm sorry. It had to be said. If you're not the author, then I'm sorry. But whoever made this story is just stupid. That's all I have to say. And, yeah. Oh, geez. It feels satisfying that I had to stop reading this crap. Because it's over now and it feels so good. It feels like, I don't know, like, yeah, it just feels great. Knowing the fact that now you don't need to keep up a tab on Google open that says Jeff the Killer versus Slenderman. Like, for like 3 days in a row. It took me so long to record this video. And it may sound like it was made in one day, but it's multiple cuts, it's different voiceovers, because I never wanted to read this piece of shit, so I just take breaks in between. So yeah, have a nice day, and subscribe to PewDiePie and Beefy Pasta, because I think a reason why I have like no subscribers is because I don't say subscribe at the end of my videos. So yeah, subscribe, leave a like or dislike if you fucking hate me, and have a nice day.